Hey, what's going on guys? RVZ Stealth here, and in today's video I have best junglers for Season 4 patch 4.18. First up on my list I have Jarvan. Pros to Jarvan he's got strong level 3 ganks. When you hit level 3 as Jarvan you have your EQ knockup combo, and if you use that and get it off while ganking, if your teammate follows up then you're pretty much going to secure the enemy champion's flash like 90% of the time. And depending on how far they're pushed out of lane, you might even secure the kill. He is also a strong duelist early game because when you hit level 3, you have your EQ knockup combo, you have your shield, and then pair that with your passive, it just brings for a really good duelist kit. He is also a teamfight specialist because of his ultimate. If you can get your ultimate off on multiple targets in a teamfight, it's just going to make the life of an AD carry so much easier because they can just sit back, get free hits on the champions that are in your Cataclysm, and you can also use your Cataclysm to keep enemies off your AD carry or your high priority targets, because if it looks like they're going to engage on them, what you can do is you can use your ultimate on them, and then your AD carry or whoever they were going for will be safe. He's also tanky and can still do a lot of damage. What I like to build on Jarvan is I like to go with 2 damage items and then go full tank from there, because I find that you don't need that much damage when playing Jarvan. He also has great Baron or Dragon Steel potential, because if you didn't know, his E is like a mini ward. So what you can do is you can place it over the pit, and then when it gets really low, you can use your Q, jump in there, smite it, and steal Dragon or Baron. His flag is also a short ward, so if you're communicating with your top laner and he's running teleport, then you can use that for the enemy or for your top laner to teleport in on your flag. Cons to Jarvan he's got slow clear speeds early game, so you want to try to pick up your Spirit Stone as quick as possible because it's going to help with that. And his EQ combo can also be difficult to land. The radius on it or the width on it isn't as big as it was before, so you have to be more accurate on where you're placing your EQ combo, and if you can't land it, then you're missing out on a lot of Jarvan's potential. Next up on my list, I have Wukong. Pros to Wukong he's got insane level 6 ganks. He's also got really strong clear speeds, and if you haven't checked out my quick tips video on Wukong, then definitely check it out because I show you how to stay as healthy as possible when clearing the jungle as Wukong. He also snowballs really hard because when you hit, or his ultimate has over a 1 AD ratio on it, so if you're building AD, or if you're building a lot of AD on Wukong, then his ultimate's going to hit really hard. He's also a teamfight master because of his ultimate, and he's got really good Yasuo synergy. If you're looking for a good duo Q combo, then I definitely recommend picking up Yasuo and Wukong. Put Yasuo in the mid lane and Wukong in the jungle, and then when you hit level 6 as Wukong, try to gank mid and start snowballing the Yasuo. Also, when you hit level 6 as Wukong, try to look for a gank down bottom lane if you're not playing with a Yasuo, because when I'm playing Wukong, after I finish my red buff, I try to be at level 6 so that I can go down bot lane, gank with my ultimate, and I usually pick up at least 1 kill. Cons to Wukong he is weak when behind, so just make sure that you're farming up and make sure that you're getting level 6 as quick as possible because it gives him a really big power spike. He also needs blue early game, so if you're playing a good jungler who's good at invading and is a good duelist, then I'd recommend invading Wukong's blue because it's going to set him behind a lot. He also doesn't have the best ganks early game. They aren't the worst, but compared to the champions that are higher on my list, his ganks aren't as good as theirs. Next up on my list, I have Kha'Zix. Pros to Kha'Zix he's got good sustain in the jungle with his W. When you get this maxed out, and if you have it evolved, it heals you for a lot, and it just keeps him really healthy in the jungle. He also has strong level 6 ganks because you can use your E, and you can either evolve your E or evolve your W, and both of them are really strong for ganking. Resets on his E are also really strong for teamfights because you can just jump from target to target if you're picking up kills. He's also got really good early game ganks because when you hit level 3 you have your E and you have your W, which are strong for ganking. I like to evolve my W either first or second on Kha'Zix because it gives them a really good slow, and it also grants vision on the target if it hits them. So I either evolve my E or my W first. I never evolve my Q or my ultimate first or second. I usually evolve my W first, my E second, and then my Q third, because you want to either evolve your W or your E first or second on Kha'Zix, because it just makes his ganks a lot better. His stealth is also really strong for team fighting, because you can jump in, get some damage off, and then you can use your stealth to either back out, or you can use your stealth to jump to or move to the next target. He's also a great duelist mid and late game because of the isolation damage. His isolation range isn't as big as it was before, but if you can find a target isolated, then you're just going to do a crap load of damage to them. Cons to Kha'Zix are he does have a weaker early game now, so you can't duel a lot of the champions that you could before as Kha'Zix. He's also very squishy, so if you're playing a good early game jungler, then look to invade Kha'Zix, because he doesn't do a lot of damage anymore, and you probably can kill him if you're playing a champion like Udyr, or if you're playing a champion like Jarvan. Most of the time you're going to be able to kill him if he's taking his red buff. If he's at lower HP than you, then you're pretty much gonna win the 1v1 really easily against him. So runner-up on my list, and at the number 2 spot, is going to be Rammus. Proster Rammus, he's got insane level 3 ganks. Once you get level 3 as Rammus, you want to be making sure that you're ganking, because with his Q, with the knockback on it, and with the taunt from his E, it just brings for so much CC, and if your teammate follows up, then you're probably going to at least secure their flash and maybe even pick up the kill. He can build super tanky and still do a lot of damage, and right now Rammus is a must pick for me if the enemy team has an AD-centric team comp, because he just counters that so hard, because he can still do so much damage, but because he's building armor, the enemy team won't be able to really touch him at all, and he's just going to stay alive for so long in team fights. Mobility boots are also a really good pickup on Rammus, and I like to pick these up as quick as possible because it enables him to lane gank, and most champions or most junglers cannot lane gank, which makes Rammus really strong. He can just come in from lane, he can use his Q, and with the mobility boots active, it's just going to enable him to zoom into lane, get his taunt off on whoever he is, whichever lane he's ganking, and then you can pretty much secure their flash, or you can pick up kills, and it's just really strong because of the fact that he can lane gank and just bypass wards. He is also a great counter ganker because of the speed boost on his Q. He can just chug to wherever he needs to be as quick as possible. His taunt is also really OP. I think it's like a 2.5 second taunt when you have this maxed out, which is what I like to do. I like to max out the taunt because when you're team fighting, if you use your taunt on, say, like a Master Yi or a Tryndamere or someone who's going to do a lot of damage, if you don't use your taunt on them, it's just going to take them completely out of the fight, and your teammates are going to be able to burst them down really quickly. Cons to Rammus are he is weak against AP enemy comps, so I wouldn't recommend picking Rammus into AP comps because he won't be able to build all that armor, and he won't be able to get all that damage either because his passive won't really... his passive will kind of be useless against AP comps. Morgana also counters him pretty hard because what Morgana will do is she will place her black shield on whoever Rammus is going to taunt, and then his taunt will be completely useless. So if you're looking for a counter to Rammus, then definitely play Morgana support. So number 1 on my list, and you guys are probably really surprised about this pick, but I've recently been playing a lot of Pantheon jungle, and he's just so strong. I think throughout Season 4, I've had over like a 60 or 70% win rate with Pantheon jungle, and it's for good reason because he's got super strong ganks. Like, when you hit level 3's Pantheon, he's got strong ganks, and then when you hit level 6's Pantheon, he's got insane ganks. He's probably got the best ganks in the game, in my opinion, when you hit level 6, and it's got such a long range on it as well, so you can use this to counter gank, and he's arguably, or he probably is the best counter ganker in the game because of his ultimate. His passive is also really strong for tower diving, and you can use this when going in for a gank if you use your ultimate behind the enemy team and you jump on them. If you need to take a few extra tower shots, then because of his passive, it will enable him to do that. He also has a point and click stun, which makes his level 3 ganks really strong. He snowballs really hard as well, and he is a great initiator. Once you get ahead as Pantheon, then you pretty much have won the game because you can just group with your team, you can use your ultimate to initiate. It's such a good tower diving ability as well, and whenever I use my ultimate as Pantheon, it seems like the enemy team is just scrambled, and you can use it to catch enemies and catch them like out of position, and they'll just be split up if you use your ultimate on them most of the time. He's also a really strong duelist because of his stun, because of his passive, and because of his Q, which is on a really short cooldown. Constant Pantheon is really weak when behind, but it's really hard to fall behind with Pantheon in my opinion, because you're going to at least secure a kill when you hit level 6 and you gank bot lane, because even if the enemy team is pushed like halfway up, then you're going to be able to gank bot lane and still pick up like at least the enemy team's flash. And because of his ultimate, like I've had so many games where I just snowballed my bot lane. Once I hit level 6, whenever my ultimate's up, I just use it down bot lane and it just gets them really fed, and which makes Pantheon such a strong pick. He also does need blue early game like Wukong, so if you're playing a really good early game jungler, then I would recommend invading Pantheon's blue because it's going to set him behind really far. So honorable mentions for this patch include Warwick, Fiddlesticks, and Amumu. The reason why I don't have Warwick and Fiddlesticks on my list are because their ganks early game are really weak, and I believe that when you're playing, or if you want to have the highest carry potential when playing from the jungle, you want to play a jungler who's got really good ganks early game, and Fiddlesticks and Warwick don't have this, but they're on my honorable mentions because once they do hit level 6, their ganks are really strong. And if you can, as long as your team doesn't feed early game, if you hit level 6 with Warwick, then you're going to pretty much secure a kill wherever you gank because of his ultimate. It's just so strong, and when I'm playing Warwick, I like to gank bot lane right away when I hit level 6 because I know I'm going to secure at least one kill while doing so. It's pretty much the same for Fiddlesticks. His early game is really weak, but when you do hit level 6, once you get your ultimate, you can use it and you can gank bot lane really strong. He's a really good lane ganker as well because of his ultimate, and what I like to do as Fiddlesticks is I like to come down bot lane, get in one of the bushes, and then when the enemy team pushes out a little bit, I like to use my ultimate, and then you pretty much secure at least one kill because of his fear and because of his silence. And I also have a Mumu on this list because he's such a strong team fighter, and as long as you don't fall too far behind as a Mumu, then he's really strong and he can carry games really hard because of his ultimate. It gives him a 2-second snare, so it's really strong for team fighting, and his early game ganks also aren't that bad at all because of his Q. So that is all for the video, guys. If you enjoyed, then be sure to like and subscribe for more League of Legends content, and if you're wondering why I didn't include a certain champion on my list, then be sure to comment below asking me why, and I will get back to you shortly on that. But nevertheless, guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you in my next video.